Has already got cars picked out for his sons. I ran that into that at the Power Tour, and one was 12 and one was 15, and the one they...
Last episode on JF Customs TV, we introduced you to Gord and his 67 Shelby Mustang project. We also gave you a preview of our own car show, Cactus Jalopies, right here in Osoyoos. We also promised an exclusive interview with a car legend, Vic Edelbrock Jr. at Deuce Days car show in Victoria, BC.
In an automotive world full of people who want to be heroes, there's a young Canadian team that has impacted the industry at a whole new level.
Vic Edelbrock Sr. was born in a small farming community near Wichita, Kansas in 1913. His father supported the family comfortably as the owner of the local grocery store. When the Edelbrock grocery store burned down in 1927, Vic left school at age 14 to help support the family. He had a natural talent for mechanics. His first job was at an auto repair shop where he developed his skills as an auto mechanic. In 1931, Vic migrated to California to live with his brother. It was there that he met Katie, who became his wife in 1933. Vic Sr.'s reputation as an expert mechanic helped his business grow, and he moved his shop 3 times during this period. Vic and Katie's only child, Vic Jr., was born in 1936. In 1938, Vic Sr. brought his first project car, a 1932 Ford Roadster. This car was a turning point in Edelbrock history. It was Vic Sr.'s entry to the world of hot rods, and it inspired the design and manufacture of the first Edelbrock intake manifold. The Slingshot was a 180-degree manifold for a Ford flathead using 2 Stromberg 97 carburetors. This was the first product to feature the famous Edelbrock name. Before the war, Vic produced about 100 of these flathead Ford manifolds. It was after the war that Vic designed his first aluminum racing heads for the flathead Fords. Like the Slingshot, these heads were well received. The business was on the way to becoming more of a performance part shop than a repair shop. At the early age of 49, cancer took the life of Vic Edelbrock Sr. The year was 1962, and the Edelbrock Equipment Company was handed over to Vic Jr. Vic Jr. was looking towards the future of the industry. From 1971 to 1974, he served as president of the Specialty Equipment Marketing Association, SEMA, to educate both the public and the legislators in Washington to the benefits of a strong and legal performance parts industry.
We'll be right back.
This episode is sponsored by Lordco, Flowmaster, Canadian Hot Rod Magazine, A&W, Curtis Speed Wheels.
You're watching JF Customs TV.
Alright guys, before the break we gave you a quick history lesson of Edelbrock Company. Now we're going to let the camera roll and you're going to see JF at Deuce Days in Victoria. And we'll switch to the interview with Vic Edelbrock Jr. We are going to give you guys the full interview because we feel pretty privileged at JF Customs to actually have the opportunity to have an interview with Vic Edelbrock. So hope you guys will enjoy.
You can't mention automotive performance without mentioning the name Edelbrock.
Well, thank you very much.
We're fortunate enough to be here with Vic Edelbrock. Vic, what can you tell us about the industry? What significant changes have really created this industry and what it is today?
Well, I think it's just the love affair of the automobile that is here in Canada and it's in the U.S. and it's all over the world. There's people here from Sweden, Chile, and this and there's one guy drove his Roadster all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina, to be here, and it's this love affair and the identity, especially that goes with the street rod type situation, 32 Roadster whatever is just fantastic, and it's growing every day, and it's just great to be part of it and enjoy. Really a fine group of people, and with a great attitude, and it's all built around that automobile.
The interesting thing is your company doesn't just cater to the old cars like some other companies. You guys are very diversified. You embrace all of hot rodding and all of aftermarket and the excitement of automobiles and performance. What do you think your suggestions would be to get more people involved, or younger people involved in specifically the old cars?
Well, today, you know, you've got your WyoTech, you've got these schools around the country, and part of that is they'll teach you know, people how to paint, how to stripe, how to flame a car, which kind of goes with the older cars, and bringing it back to life. I know WyoTech in Wyoming, I visited there 3 or 4 times, and they've got their projects that you bring your car in, and that's part of your school. And every day at 2:30 you work on your car for 2 hours. And like one time I went there was a guy with a Packard putting a big block Chevy in it, you know,
No
stuff like that.
No kidding.
So that is good, and that's where young people, not everybody can run computers and do all that, can go to school and really learn a trade and come into this market of you know, making bringing cars back to life and doing that whole works. That's Roy Brizio built a lot of my cars, and he kind of second generation with his dad, and he's in there, and he is really busy right now, and because of his reputation and everything. So, and he started from the ground up, learning from his dad, and has gone on and I think a lot of that is going on, and I think that's one thing that we do here is it involves the family, and you run into people where the father we're driving a '67 Mustang was for the 12-year-old. And it was a beautiful, beautiful car.
So
now,
4 years away from driving, he's already got a
yeah, but isn't it great though to have those kids do that rather than go the other direction, and
Absolutely right.
and they're learning, and the family involvement with this is just fantastic, and it's a great thing. And you've got to be here to see it. You've got to be here to see the crowd,
absolutely.
the type of people that are participating.
We don't want to take up a lot of your time, but some people don't actually know, well, most car guys do, but there's other people that don't know that you're an accomplished driver. And you're multifaceted in all sorts of automotive racing. Can you just give us an idea, maybe one of your most memorable moments, or one of your most memorable times in a car on the competitive level? Well,
my father told me when I was 16 and I wanted to go drag racing, he says, "You're not going racing because the name's already made, don't screw it up." So I didn't really get started in vintage car racing, which I do now, until 1987, and I got into it because I was boat racing, offshore racing, and I didn't really like it because it beat the heck out of you and all that stuff, and it was a little bit dangerous, and so vintage car racing is really taken over, and I have 2 cars that I drive. One is George Fulmer's 1969 Boss 302 that was made in the Ford Skunk Works, and a fellow found it in the backyard of Bud Moore's building in North Carolina, and they brought it back. He brought it back to life just exactly like it was, and that is fun, super fun. We race together with a group with all real cars, Penske cars, Roy Hill, AMC Javelins, and to be in our group, you have to have an authentic car. And my moments of that is go out and really have a good time, and with your people that you're racing with, and don't bend the car, because if you do, you're out for 13 months.
It must be a gentleman's sport.
It's got to be a gentleman's sport.
Yeah.
So that's been my involvement. I never really, when I was younger, I never really got into anything that was racing, because that was my father's wish, and my father was total German, and you paid attention to what he told you.
And is that where the craftsmanship comes from then?
That's right. And he told me one time, I said I was going to the drag races, I was 16, and he says, don't run your car. And I says, okay, Dad. So I walked in late that afternoon, and he looked at me with a big grin on his face. He said, well, how fast did you go? And I said, so I thought, well, it's all right. I went 84 miles an hour. And he said, give me your keys, and the car didn't move for 30 days. So that kind of got the picture. But I've been in, I got into water ski racing. I would pull skiers 90, 95 miles an hour. Yeah. They just had this Catalina ski race yesterday. I won that about 15 years ago, and I was driving the boat, and I was not a skier. And we would ski. We would race over to Catalina and back, and our time was under 55 minutes.
That's amazing.
And so I did that, and then the vintage car racing though is what I really like. I love running on the different tracks across the country.
What's your second car? You haven't mentioned that yet. I do know.
Well, the second car I have is the '63 Corvette split window that Zora made in the basement of the St. Louis assembly plant when he introduced the Stingray, because he wanted to make a good showing at Riverside, which was a race they had in the middle of October every year. The Times, a newspaper, used to sponsor it. So he did that, and he made 6 cars, and 4 of them showed up at Riverside. Bonnarant was driving the car I have, and he drove it for Washburn Chevrolet in Santa Barbara. And then Davey McDonald had a car, was driving a car, and Jerry Grant, that was a Indy car driver, was the 3rd, and then Mickey Thompson got the 4th one. He flew it out, and then the guy named Doug Hooper drove it. But when they all arrived with these Z06s, they called them a Z06. Here come Carroll Shelby with Ken Miles, the driver, and a Cobra. And Zora was there, and he saw that Cobra, and he jumped underneath it, and he knew that he was going to have to go back to work, and that's when he went back and built the Grand Sport. So I have a car that was very famous on the West Coast. Bonnarant drove it for 6 months, and then Carroll Shelby hired him to drive Cobras, and it went on, and then a guy named Tony September drove it, and it actually ended up at Bonneville and went 200 miles an hour. Somebody cut the top off, and we found the frame in somebody's garage, a backyard in Santa Barbara, and the person that found it was a man that Bob Jonick in Santa Barbara that worked on the car. He was the crew chief, and so he knew when he saw the frame, and it had all these holes in it because they lightened it up. He knew it was the frame, and he bought the pieces and started putting it back together. Then I bought it from him and took it and finished it, and it's actually my favorite car because I've driven it so long that I really enjoy it. But that is my racing thing, and it's great to put on, put a suit on and your helmet and get in there and make a lot of people happy when they see these cars come back.
That's awesome. So on a lighter note, just because we don't want to keep you from your fans here, when you tell your friends about your little home in Canada, did you mention to them that it's actually an igloo?
No. We have a home, summer home across from Campbell River on Quadra Island in April Point Bay there, and we really enjoy it. In fact, we're leaving here in our boat and then going that direction, and we'll be there tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, that's perfect. We sure enjoy having you here.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
Very much for taking the time.
Okay, thank you.
Vic Edelbrock, living legend. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. That was
See you guys next week.